Hi, this is Kelly from paperbeadrollers.com, and this is video 4 in the Paper Bead Flower series. This series walks you through how to make each style of paper bead flower that is included in the Paper Bead Flower digital download pack, or in the kit of pre-cut strips available on paperbeadrollers.com. In this video, we're going to work with flower C. To roll this flower, you'll need a paper bead roller, a stem, a bead for the center of the flower, at least one leaf strip, a hot glue gun, and wire clippers. You can use any size roller with the flower strips, but I'm using my red paper bead roller from paperbeadrollers.com. The red roller is slightly larger than the stem wire I'm using, so it will allow space for the hot glue without being too large around the stem. The flowers are rolled very similarly to rolling a regular paper bead. Start by putting the wide end of the strip into the slot on your bead roller. Always keep the tip of the paper bead roller below the top of the strip or it will cause your petals to rip. This is very important. Roll keeping the base of the petals in approximately the same spot, or you can move the second layer up or down to create some variation. When I get to the point where the petals begin, that's where I add the glue so I can keep the petals in place. Then tack down the end. You can leave the flower like this and it looks like a bud. To open this flower up, I don't recommend that you use your fingers. When I use my fingers, I tend to bend them here in the wrong place and put a crease in the petal. So I take the roller and bend them out right down at the bottom of the petal. And from there, you can do several things. You can leave it like this, or you can take the handle and put just a gentle curve in the petals. Another option is to take one of the larger rollers like the peach and put a more extreme curve in the petals. You may also want to spread the petals out a bit for better coverage. Again, one flower with several looks. And it won't surprise me a bit if y'all come up with even more ideas for what you can do with these. I'll just spread these out a little more to make it look pretty, and we'll add our center. I'm using this large brown bead for my center because I want these to have the look of a Gerber daisy. Now if you want your petals closed up more, you'll want to choose a smaller bead than mine so it doesn't push the petals out. Check the center of your bead. If you push the center in a bit, you can create an indent for your bead to sit down into. That will make the center bead more secure and also make it look more like an actual part of the flower rather than sitting up on top of the paper. I have found that the best way to apply the bead so that you don't get hot glue in your flower petals is to put a small dab of hot glue on the bead itself. Make sure the bead holes are positioned to the side so they won't show once the bead's in place. Put a little bit of glue on and just press it down into the flower center. Roll your leaves just like you roll the flower, starting with the wide end and keeping the metal pin below the top edge of the strip. Now I chose a double leaf for this one. Remember, these leaves will position themselves differently depending on what size roller you use. These look like they're right on top of each other, but you'll see when we bend them down that they are slightly offset. Now we can grab the stem and put the leaves on first. Up here at the top, smear some hot glue into the thread, turning the stem for coverage. Get enough on to bond the flower, but not so much that you'll have globs of glue poking out the end. Then quickly slide the flower onto the stem. Be careful not to push your bead off the top of the hole. Give it a second to cool down and it should be very well bonded. Now if you mess up the flower petals while doing this, don't worry, they're very forgiving and you can fix them when we're done. With these double long leaves, I like to work with their shape a bit before I glue them. I'm going to take the handle of my roller and use it to add a gentle curve out here at the top of the leaves. There are all kinds of things you can do with these leaves. You could paint some vein lines on them, you can curl the edges, you could really dress them up. Now decide exactly where you want to position the leaves. For this one, I'm going to put them fairly close to the top so that the leaves go up to the top of the flower. So I'm going to pull it back about 1/2 inch and smear the glue onto the stem. Then push the leaf up into the glue, turning it until you feel the glue start to grab. Now if you do this correctly, you should be able to keep all of the hot glue inside the beads so none of it shows for a professional, polished look. And now you have a beautiful paper bead flower. Next in the series, we'll roll flower D, which I think of as the bluebell. I'll meet you there.